A wise man once said, "How can you not be romantic about baseball?" Justin Verlander, a Detroit Tiger, yet again.
You are Locked On Tigers, your daily Detroit Tigers podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
What is up, everybody? Welcome back to another edition, a fantastic edition of Locked On Tigers. I'm, of course, your host, Scott Bentley. Today is Wednesday, February 11th, 2026. Thank you so much for making Locked On Tigers your first listen. Every single day, we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every single day. Today is day one of training camp. We have so much to go over, none bigger than the return of Justin Verlander. I don't know how I'm going to get through the next half hour without crying. I already have today and been made fun of for it, which is like totally fair. I'm a grown man tearing up because another grown man decided he wanted to like play a game here. But we have so much to discuss. We will obviously spend a bulk of the show talking about the return of Justin Verlander to the Motor City, everything it means for the team on and off the field. We'll talk about the contracts between, Verlander and Frambois Valdez. That contract made official on Tuesday as well. We'll also discuss Rhys Olsen, who will miss all of 2026. There's no good without a little bit of bad, apparently, and we will go into all of that on today's show. But obviously, the main talking point here is Justin Verlander. A 1-year, $13 million deal to play for your Detroit Tigers. In my notes, it literally just says, wow, 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 wow. A lot more times than that. I'm sparing you, actually. I cannot believe it finally happened. I did cry today. I wasn't like, lip quivering, sobbing, but like I did shed a tear. And we'll talk about what it means from a purely on-the-field perspective in this show as well. I promise this will not just be all like sappy and mopey, but how can you not start with that? This is just the best. This is the best, man. This is the savior of the franchise. This is the prodigal son returning to presumably end it where he started it. And we have talked about the possibility of this for years, right? And it happened. We talked this offseason. We talked 3 months ago probably about how this year more than any other, it kind of the stars are aligning. It's way more likely now than it ever has been. But it's still, I didn't think was very likely. And now on Tuesday, February 10th, the day that we will not forget for quite some time, Jim Leyland ends up texting Verlander, "Welcome home." With all of the emotions that people are having, is this, and this is a very non-analytical thing I'm about to say, is this the highest that vibes, pure vibes, is this the highest that vibes have been entering a Tigers season since 2016, probably? Still pissed off about that year. They had a playoff spot in hand and lost the series to like the Braves when they were like the worst team in baseball to end the season. But like going into that year, you had, like Upton and you had, these like big money Jordan Zimmerman, like signings to people were at least hyped going into the year about kind of like the one last dance thing with Mike Ilitch. But I really think that this is the highest that fan excitement has now been heading into a season in maybe a decade, maybe longer. Some of you may just tell me like it's probably 2015 or 14. And this is a perfect and beautiful exclamation point to end this offseason. 183 wins, a 3.49 ERA, 2,511 innings pitched, 2,373 strikeouts. in his Tigers career. Second most in Tigers history. To who? I'm going to cry. To Mickey Lolich. May he rest in peace. A Rookie of the Year, an MVP, a Cy Young. 3 times he was the leader in MLB in strikeouts. That is his Tigers resume alone, not even his overall career resume. That is just what he did in his first 13 years in the league, which are all with the Detroit Tigers. All those stats courtesy of MLB Network. This is a legend not only coming home to end his career, but coming to a team that can win in a situation where he can produce and still be a valuable piece of the winning. This isn't just like, oh, we're signing this guy and we're just going to throw him on the bench so that he can, pitch in blowouts or whatever and get some cheers from the fans. He is still an asset. He had a sub-4 ERA last year. Like this is perfect. This is perfect. And all generations are attracted to this and are feeling some type of way about this. And I mean, Verlander got drafted when I was 6 years old. I'm now pushing 30 and he's returning to the Tigers. And it's mind-boggling, man. He's one of the greatest to not only ever play for the Detroit Tigers, but he's one of the greatest to ever step foot on a mound in the history of Major League Baseball. And he is a Detroit Tiger. And Jeff Passan said he's going into the Hall of Fame in a Tigers hat. And all of the feels just come pouring out when something like this happens. And I really think that last part is my favorite aspect of it. Justin Verlander is reporting to camp today as you listen to this. Well, I might release this one early just because it's fun. But on Wednesday, he's reporting to camp in a Tigers uniform for the first time in almost a decade. And again, it's not just some publicity stunt. I mean, it is. Don't get me wrong. They're going to make a ton of money off of this. But it isn't just that. This isn't just signing a 50-year-old that's never going to play just so that he can be on the team. This isn't Udonis Haslem. No disrespect. I don't know why Udonis Haslem just caught a stray. Legend. Love Udonis Haslem. But you get the sentiment I'm going after if you follow basketball. This guy's probably going to be your number 5 starter on opening day. Let's talk about the player. We've talked about all the emotions that are coming with this. For anybody who's of my generation, this is a childhood hero coming home. For anybody that's older, it's still a legend coming home. For anybody that's younger, it's still a legend that's coming home. And with the way the contract is structured, it really does look like this is kind of the swan song and the end of it. And my goodness, am I going to cry like an absolute baby in his last start in Comerica Park. Because I thought it already happened. I thought that happened in 2017 in September. Man, what a day. What a day. Let's talk about what this means on the field. We'll cry some more. It'll be a great day. We'll do that right after this. First, though, I'm going to talk to you all about our friends over at Indeed. Hiring isn't just about finding someone that's willing to take the job. It's about finding the right person with the right background who can actually help your business move forward. And if you want candidates to match what you're looking for, Indeed Sponsored Jobs is the move for you. Because instead of hoping the right person just stumbles across your post, Indeed helps you match with quality candidates by boosting your job listing to the people who fit your specific criteria. Life skills, certifications, location, and so much more. If I were hiring, I wouldn't just want someone who can help. I'd want someone with real experience who can jump right in. That's what I like about Indeed. You can get specific and targeted. You can get specific and target exactly what you need. Saves you time because you're spending less energy sorting through mismatches. And with sponsored jobs, your posts get seen by candidates who actually fit. Here's a stat for you. In the minute I've been talking to you about this, companies like yours made 27 hires on Indeed, according to the Indeed data worldwide. So if you're hiring, spend less time searching and more time interviewing candidates who actually check all of your boxes with Indeed sponsored jobs. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Segment 2, Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in, as always, making us your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. No bigger day than this one. I appreciate you all. You have made Locked On the #1 sports podcast network. And if you want to take it a step further, you can join the Everydayer Club. Go to lockedonpodcasts.com/everydayer, and you can join the Locked On Tigers Everydayer Club. You'll get ad-free audio wherever you get your podcasts. No ads for you. You'll listen like that, and you will be a part of a members-only Locked On Tigers Discord server. I am in it. Other Everydayers are in it, and it's popping off at times like this. We talked Frambois. Now today we have JV and pitchers and catchers reporting as well, so be sure to check that out. Today we celebrate the return of Justin Verlander. In 29 starts last year, he had a 3.85 ERA. That's my point, man. This is still a guy that can contribute. He started off the season, we'll go just cut it in half, right? Pre-All-Star and post-All-Star. Pre-All-Star break, he was 0-7 with a 4.7 ERA. Post-All-Star break, he was 4-4 with a 2.99. He had a sub-3 ERA the entire second half. And in the month of September, he had a 2.08. That's 5 starts in the month of September with 2 ERA baseball. Is he throwing 100 in the 8th inning anymore? Obviously not. Does he have a 40% strikeout rate and a 4% walk rate like his last Cy Young year? Obviously not. No one is hyping this up because we're getting prime Verlander. But the peripherals are around league average. He's got around league average walk rate, solid pitcher, around league average strikeout rate, around league average whiff rate, and an around league average barrel rate. The stuff obviously is not what it was 10 to 20 years ago, but it isn't bad. It's not garbage. The slider still has a whiff rate over 30%. The movement profile is pretty solid. It's obviously, again, not what it once was, but it's still solid. The curve has always been the curve, will always be the curve. I genuinely think Justin Verlander at 70 years old is going to be able to throw the 12-6 curveball just like he did when he was 20 years old. I'm really interested in the sweeper to nerd out a little bit. He's just always been so traditional in the aspect of like curveball, 12-6, a little bit more up and down movement, slider, kind of the more horizontal pitch. But a few years ago, he started toying with the sweeper, and it was really effective last year, but he also didn't throw it very much. I think he threw it 7 or 8% of the time, which was less than the slider is his second most thrown pitch at this point. And then the curveball was a tick ahead of the sweeper as well. So wondering if it's going to be fastball and then 3 different variations of breaking ball, where the change goes into that. At the end of his Tigers tenure the first time, you know, the changeup, there was a love-hate with it over the years, right? There were some years where it was really effective, especially against lefties. But as he got older, he started relying on the slider a little bit more and more, and that became kind of the more secondary pitch. So I'm really interested in what the pitch mix, you know, he and Feder and Lund and everybody kind of settles on. The fastball obviously is not thrown 70% of the time anymore like it was. What was that? I think 2008, 2009, maybe. I mean, he was legitimately almost throwing it, you know, 3/4 of the time, certainly over 2/3 of the time. But it's still the bread and butter. And I think the thing that reassures me about that is, he's in his mid-40s and can still throw a fastball 94 plus miles an hour. That's unbelievable, just from like a human being perspective. But it didn't get hit very hard last year. Hard hit rate for his fastball was actually the lowest it's been in a few years. And his hard hit rate as a whole was in the top quarter of the league, 78th percentile in hard hit rate against a year ago. This is a truly a perfect fit. I believe that in my heart of hearts, and I could not support this any more than I do. They clearly, they being the Tigers, want as much starting pitching depth as possible. Olson is done for the year. We'll talk about that in a second. You can give Verlander 20 plus starts this year, sell a boatload of tickets, and hopefully get a guy who can still spin it at, again, if he's a league average pitcher, this is a win. If his ERA is under like 4.2, I'll take it. If he's walking out of this season with a 4.15 and a decent strikeout rate, beautiful. I'm not mad at that, dude. As long as he doesn't completely implode, this is a no-brainer really for both parties. This isn't I'll put it this way, okay? I'll articulate it this way. This is, I think, the best way that I've found to kind of relay the point that I'm trying to make. He is a bottom of the rotation guy at this point in his career. If he's firing on all cylinders, then he's still a really good one. But that is presumably the level of production we're going to get. Fourth or fifth in a rotation type. There is not a single fourth or fifth in a rotation starting pitcher in all of baseball that will make as much money for the Detroit Tigers as Justin Verlander will. It's the day before pitchers and catchers report. I'm assuming he doesn't have a mile-long list of big market, big money suitors that are also like competitive teams. And again, all of the big market teams have their rotations presumably filled out. This fell into everybody's lap. And again, I think is the perfect marriage. As long as he doesn't implode. And even if you're sitting there and you're like, I hate fun and I don't like when other people are happy and I think that this is dumb and people are getting, like happy about something that's stupid. He's a number 5 in a rotation. I hate parties and bleh. Again, it is in your best interest, assuming you're a Tigers fan, which I really have a hard time believing people that like hate this move are even. But even if you are, it is in your best interest for the Detroit Tigers that are now in the top 10 in payroll and spending more than they have in over a decade for this upcoming season to also be very financially in the green. That makes your team better if they make money and are good. You're hoping that this accomplishes both of those things, and that's absolutely beautiful. Now, there's always bad news, isn't there? Rhys Olsen is out for the season. That is absolutely devastating. 60-day injured list for him, effective immediately as the injured list opens back up when pitchers and catchers report. It is a right shoulder labral repair. Surgery was on February 2nd, performed by Dr. Keith Meister, who is, for those who are unaware, one of the best pitching, just baseball surgeons, but he does a lot of arm and shoulder and baseball surgeries. One of the best in the business. Rhys Olsen will officially miss all of the 2026 season. The timeline for this is very interesting to me. Just in the last week, Rhys Olsen goes down. Frambois Valdez signs. Verlander. Skubal's arbitration hearing is finalized. The Tigers switch their TV partners and who gets the right to their broadcasts, and they sign Justin Verlander. All 5 of those things have happened in the month of February, and it is February 10th as I speak to you right now. You're listening presumably on the 11th. Those things, that's probably not all a coincidence. They knew they were losing Olsen. They knew that they had to pivot and get other starting pitching help. They also knew that they had to find another platform to host their ball games. And as Tony Paul of the Detroit News so eloquently, as he always does, great human being and great reporter, great writer, great journalist, that's the word. The Tigers might have a little bit more of an incentive to have eyes on their product, with Major League Baseball being the one distributing their product. Now this, again, back to Olson, this sucks. Okay, Reese has legitimately, in my eyes, some of the best stuff in the entire organization. And when he is healthy, I think that he has the ceiling of a top half of the rotation caliber arm. He just really hasn't been healthy in his entire major league career. In 3 seasons, his career high in innings pitched is 112. The good news is he's only 26 and he still has multiple of team control left. So it's not like this is just going to take him to his free agency year or anything like that. There is time. The other good thing is that the Tigers have done a fantastic job. Credit to Scott Harris, the front office, all of these people that me and a lot of other people did nothing but criticize for most of the offseason. Again, in the last 10 days has changed a lot of perception because they have starting pitching depth and legitimately a lot of it. I would argue some of the most starting pitching depth in the entire game of baseball, to be completely honest with you. So they have enough to still get through the year with Olson and Job presumably missing most, if not all of it. And then the future, Job, full season in 2027. Olson, hopefully a full season in 2027. Frambois, 2027. You start looking around, and now the future of this rotation, which was so bleak 2 weeks ago, now you actually can get pretty excited about beyond 2026 even. Let's talk about the contract, and let's talk about what this means for the 2026 season and this front office's opinion of it, if you will. We'll do that right after this. First, though, going to talk to you all about our friends over at FanDuel. The winter games are officially here, and if you're anything like us, you're locking in for events you only get to see on the biggest stage every 4 years. That's why following the winter games on FanDuel just makes sense. From medal counts to individual events to finding your angle on the sports you care most about, FanDuel gives you more ways to stay connected to the action. The drama of curling matches, the slow start, but somehow the intensity at the end, speed skating races decided by mere inches, hockey games that feel different right from the opening faceoff. That starts for men's on Thursday and already has started for the women. The USA women dominated the Canadian women on Tuesday. A lot of fun. The action is already picking up, and FanDuel keeps the entire Olympic experience engaging from start to finish. The winter games are on. There's no better way to follow them than with FanDuel. Play your game. All right, everybody, welcome back here. Third and final segment, Locked On Tigers. Appreciate y'all for tuning in as always. Let's talk contracts. I actually want to start with Frambois because that is the biggest contract that's details were released on Tuesday. 3 years, $115 million. We knew that. Now, where it gets interesting is literally everything else. His salary in 2026 is only $17.5 million. In 2027, he will make $37.5 million. That's a $20 million raise from 1 year to the next. 2028 is a player option for $35 million. 2029, we did not know this, there is a mutual option for $40 million. Now, when's the last time you saw a mutual option actually picked up? They don't happen very often because if a player is above his market value, then he's going to decline it to go get more money. And if a player is below their market value, then the team is going to decline it because they don't want to spend, $40 million on a guy who's maybe not good in 2029. But the fact that that is even an option is new to us. $40 million, obviously a lot of money. There is also a $20 million signing bonus. However, it's not really a signing bonus because it is all 100% of it deferred with payments starting in 2030. Remember that year, 2030. That'll be important here in a second. For Frambois' case, 2030 is after his contract ends, even if all the options are picked up. He picks up the player option and he picks up the mutual option, which won't happen. Both of those things are not going to happen. But even if they do, that ends after the 2029 season. So that $20 million payment will begin in 2030. He gets $2 million for a Cy Young, $1 million for a runner-up finish in the Cy Young, $500,000 for a third-place finish for Cy Young, $2 million for a World Series MVP, $1 million for an ALCS MVP, and all of those incentives are contingent on him not ending a season or that season on the injured list. He cannot get those incentives if he ends the season on the IL. Obviously, there's some wiggle room there. The Tigers might just be good people and be like, okay, you had a Cy Young season and got hurt the last start of the year. We're not going to not give you your incentives. Verlander, $13 million for 1 year. However, it's really $2 million for 1 year. 11 of that 13 mil is deferred and starts, wait for it, in 2030. So this is a $2 million deal for this upcoming season and $11 million that starts in 4 years. Yeah, I will gladly take that for a guy, again, that literally had a sub-4 ERA and honestly was one of the better pitchers in the league in the last month and a half of last year. Now, what does the rotation look like in 2026? I have it as Skubal, Valdez, Flaherty, Mize, Verlander. Then you also have Melton, Montero, Drew Anderson, waiting in the wings. Those three are your first three options, undeniably. But then you also have Sawyer Gibson-Long. Hopefully he rebounds. He wasn't very good last year, but still on the 40-man roster, a guy that a lot of people were excited about before the injury. Jake Miller. I do not want the world to forget about Jake Miller. And maybe he's a reliever long-term. That's very possible. Jake Miller was effing disgusting before he was hurt, and even proved as such in spring training last year before getting injured. He's on the 40-man roster now, was protected from the Rule 5 draft for a reason. And then I don't believe it, but I'm going to say it just because a lot of people keep bothering me about being pessimistic about it. Maybe Jackson Jobe the last month or two of the 2026 season as well. All of those guys waiting in the wings. You essentially can make 2 full rotations before opening day even. This is everything about this is so awesome. And the Verlander thing in a vacuum is awesome, but I think the big picture aspect of this is just as awesome. This is a Tigers team and a Tigers front office that is actually prioritizing winning immediately for the first time in over a decade. The first time in a decade. 2016, that offseason was pretty objectively the last time that a Tigers front office was this aggressive in its commitment to winning immediately, if you will. Now, obviously, Verlander is a nostalgia play, right? I am not trying to deny that. I'm not trying to tell you that this is prime Verlander. Again, if he puts up 5th in a rotation starter type of production, I'm a happy camper. But he can give you 5th in a rotation caliber production. And the Tigers can win games, and they can win the AL Central for the first time in 12 years, and they can win playoff series, and they can make a run. Now, this doesn't just exonerate all of the criticisms. I know that there's some people that are gritting their teeth listening to this, and they're like, oh, it's just all sunshine and rainbows. We didn't sign a single major league bat all off season. I'm with you. I agree. The just hope that the offense does better than it did at the end of last season is not something that I am ignoring. But I am telling you that when you look roster to roster among the American League, the Tigers are the favorite. Not guaranteeing anything, but they're going to be the preseason favorite for a division they haven't won in over a decade. This has a chance. And maybe everything sucks, okay? Maybe everything's awful and the world sucks and everything's going to crash and burn. Verlander's going to have a 6 ERA and Skubal's going to get traded at the deadline and Frambois is going to pitch like he did in the last month of last season. The offense is going to strike out a billion times and nothing is fun and we can't enjoy anything. Maybe that is reality, okay? Maybe. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know. They play the games for a reason. But I will tell you that this has the chance to be the most fun, exciting, entertaining, and magical season of Detroit Tigers baseball in over 10 years. That is on the table. 2024, we were excited going into 2024, but it took a miracle run at the end of the year, and that was an awesome run, but that wasn't expected going into the season. 2025, expectations were higher. They end on a very sour note with an epic, historic collapse. The front office has now made a financial commitment. The rotation alone is going to cost the Tigers over $100 million. That is more than other teams in the American League Central will pay their entire rosters. Their entire payrolls will be less than just what the Tigers' rotation is going to be. Are they going to go through offensive woes? Probably. I think it'd be kind of ignorant to just be like, no, the offense will be great. No questions asked. No, there are still concerns. If there's nobody you like offensively in free agency or on the trade market in the offseason, though, you double down on pitching. And that's what they've done. Again, this does not just make all of the criticisms poof away, but you can acknowledge that the team is in a pretty good spot and certainly is in the best spot they've been in years. And also still in the back of your head be like, man, I wish maybe they got help in X, Y, and Z. You can coexist. A message for the world. We can coexist. Justin Verlander is a Detroit Tiger. And it just feels right. And it just feels different. This means a whole lot to a whole lot of people. I'm one of those people, as I've made abundantly clear. Go win the whole thing, dude. Let's all just be delusional for a day. Don't be the, oh, well, like, you're ridiculous if you think this team can win a ring. Yeah, we'll come back down to reality in 24 hours. For a day. Just give yourself the grace of having fun. The Tigers are top 10 in payroll again in all of baseball. Verlander is back. Skubal and Verlander are both in the rotation at the same time. It's probably the last year of Tarik Skubal. You spent $115 million on Frambois Valdez. Go win the whole thing. Why not? And that journey, it starts today. Pitchers and catchers report as we speak. Thanks for making Locked On Tigers your first listen every single day. Shout out to the everydayers that do tune in every day. We, of course, will be back tomorrow recapping all the happenings of day one of training camp. I appreciate you all so much. I love doing this. I love just talking ball with thousands of other people that just want to talk ball. There's a lot of stuff going on in the world these days. But I'll tell you what, Justin Verlander is a Detroit Tiger again. And that's pretty darn cool. Peace and love. Going to therapy's dope. I'll catch y'all tomorrow, baby. Go Tigers.